What's up, Internet? Don here from DonDoes30.com, bringing you another Python tutorial. And today we're going to be talking about gathering input from users, which I think is a pretty important topic if you think about it. You saw some previous tutorials on just writing some static programs where you define the variables with actually a pretty, no way to really change the variable by any type of user means. But today we're going to be asking the user some questions, and they're going to be inputting their answers, and then we're going to use that to print it out, and it's really going to help down the line when we're getting into other things. But first of all, let's get into Python. I've already got the lesson set up, so I'm going to go to the Pico text editor. And I'm using the older version of Python. I think it's Python 2.7 is what I have on here. Python 3 is going to be a little bit different. And when I get onto the Python 3 section, I'll go over the differences in the syntax. And if you run this on Python 3, it's just not going to work. It's probably going to tell you to fuck off or something. Anyway, so we're going to define the variable name by using input from the user. So we're going to ask the user, what is your name? And when they input it, it's going to go into this variable. Same thing for age. I'm going to ask them, how old are you? Now, if you notice, I went ahead and put in a space between the question mark and the end of the actual string here. And the reason is because it's going to print this and then give the cursor a little room so you can put in your answer. Otherwise, you'd be typing basically right on top of the question mark, and that'd look pretty crappy. And the last thing we're going to ask for the location. Where do you live? Again, the function that we're using is the raw input. So, and again, this is for Python 2.6, 2.7. And then we're going to print it out just to test it. And if you've seen the last couple of tutorials, there's multiple ways to, I guess, skin a cat. I'm going to use, I guess, the longer way by basically combining strings and variables like I did in a previous tutorial, and then I'll use the better way of doing it, which is using the placeholders and then defining the variables for those placeholders after the fact. So let's check this out. All right, so let's get out of Pico here and we'll run Python. All right, so first, there it goes. What is your name? I'm going to use mine, Don. How old are you? We'll just say 30. Because that's the theme of the website. And where do you live? The good US of A. All right, and then it prints out, just to show you, your name is Don, you're 30 years old, from USA. All right, and I just want to show you that the other method of doing it, I'm going to take out the comment. Remember that pound sign or hash sign is the comment. And go ahead and comment this one out. We'll be using this one. I prefer, and a lot of people prefer, using these placeholder methods. Again, it's kind of stylistic, however you want to do it, but probably the easiest way. All right, so let's run this again. We'll say Don2, and since we're doubling everything, we'll say 60, and then we'll say UUSSAA just to prove that it is the second time we ran it. All right, and we get essentially the same output, even though we used a different way of formatting the output. One thing to keep in mind that is very important is this 30 or this 60 is actually a string, meaning that this isn't really a number. Well, I mean, as far as the computer looks at it, it's not really a number. It's represented by a text 30. So if you try to, here, let's do this. I got a crazy idea here. So we're going to print age. See if this works. Age plus 10. And I haven't done this before, so I don't know if it's going to work. And gobbledygook. All right, so it's not going to work. So and the reason, cannot concatenate string and integer objects, right? Because it's trying to add 10 to basically a string. So those are kind of incompatible data types. What we'd want to do in that case, oops, not that, is we need to bring this in as a number or an integer. So let's do int, and we'll encapsulate this part with another function. So when it comes in, how old are you? It'll come in as a string, but then the integer, and I'll get into this shit more often, or in more detail when we go through our actual, what do you call it there? Data types and defining. And now, even this, I'm not sure if it's going to work. So let's see, done 35, Africa. All right, so check this out. Now that we've used it as a integer, we're able to add that 10 to the fake age I put in. All right, so up here it wouldn't do it because it's trying to add 10 to a string, which doesn't work. Down here it's going to do it because we've converted it into an integer simply by adding an encapsulation of what data type we want to convert it to. Anyway, that was way more advanced than I wanted to get into for this lesson, but go ahead and practice the raw inputs into a variable. And again, remember that when you're doing that, it comes in as a string and not a number. So even if you're typing in numbers, it's technically just text. Got it? All right. So we're going to be moving on to the next lesson soon. Subscribe, put some comments, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.